In my scientific background, the key words to improve the plant is diversity.
I enjoyed moving to Lynn because it's so ethnically diverse. I belong to the Lynn Community Association, whose aim is to improve Lynn and get it more cohesive, working towards better understanding between different cultures and learning to get along.
You have a lot of parents from a lot of different countries. Can
48.
you tell me about some of the countries?
Okay, 48 different countries.
48.
And they come from all over the world. I've had the kids from Kosovo, Somalia, from Kenya, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico.
You know, you go outside in the city, in the street of Lynn, and you see different dress, you know, for different country. Yeah. Sometimes with handkerchiefs, sometimes, and it's amazing.
I think a lot of times when people don't get along, it's because they don't understand each other and they don't take the time to try to understand each other.
It's interesting too because we have neighbors right next door that are from Nigeria.
Yep.
Yep. And there's all kinds of interesting smells, you know, like, and their dress, like when they have their events, everyone will prance down the street with their clothes on. It's gorgeous to watch. Really cool. I mean, that's what you luckily have in a diverse culture is you get to see the things that you only see in the movies. You know, we get to see it in real life right here. You know?
Right, that's the beauty of living in the city. It gives you a really broad vision of the world.
What was the ethnic makeup of the Highlands? Like French,
Irish, French, Greek. Those are the three that I remember being a majority in that area. I also should mention before that cultural infiltration, it was I believe I've heard the original houses, many of them were built by Jewish people. I'm not positive on that.
It's great. I mean, there's over 40 languages that are spoken in this neighborhood, and there's never really been any problems because of all the different races. Everybody just blends in.
There were some Japanese people, and there were Italians. It was a mix of everybody.
Yeah. That's the beauty of living in the city is that you have so many different cultures and ways of thought and, you know, priority based or whatever, and it gives you a really broad vision of the world.
I like to get involved. I like to explore new things, meet new people, try new food and stuff.
I meet different people, sometimes ordinary people. It's very important for a writer to meet people from all race, all education. This is good. You find something special for your book, for example. Oh gosh, there's so many reasons why. I mean, we've been so fortunate to have known, you know, neighbors who came from, you know, Southeast Asia, you know, the whole killing fields and what happened after Vietnam. And, you know, so often the children having this environment where they were free to play outside, you know, they really became like the ambassadors so that, I mean, I'll never forget, you know, this family down the street, the mom and the dad rarely interacted, but the children always did. And now, you know, 20 years later, we're all friends on Facebook. There's a new generation coming along. And it's just, it gives you such a nice sense to know that you were a part of a new family's integration into our, you know, American way of life.
Kind of understand that living here, it's not just us. Everyone, you know, try to live and find a place to live peacefully.
But when we went to Highland School, it was a new school. WPA had built it. In fact, my grandfather, Alfred Lovely, had worked on it, and met all kinds of kids there. Just a whole mix of every kind of kid. It's just any name you can think of practically went there. It was a nice mix.
Great memory, right?
Yes, it really was.
Without a struggle, there can be no progress. Frederick Douglass.
It is certainly one thing to live in a neighborhood where everyone comes from a different corner of the world. It is entirely another to coexist with one another in peace.
At first, I'm not used to that crowd, but since I've been here for a long time, I feel like we are the same. We are in one, so I have no problem with them.
So you'd have like maybe 2 families, maybe 3 families all living in one little apartment. Wow. That's how hard it was then. But everybody didn't, they were all the same. Everybody was having hard times.
People had like a good relationship.
All we knew was that we were all in the same boat.
Yeah.
And no one was without anything.
You know, most people, they want the same thing. Most people want to have a good job, have food on the table, have a place to live, you know. And no matter what nationality you are, that's the common theme of mankind, you know.
Yeah. Nobody felt badly about anybody that had something. We thought, boy, aren't they lucky people? We always appreciated the fact that they could have a lot of things.
I think the good changes are there's an ongoing cultural view of the city. From the time that my grandfather came here until today, I think it is wonderful to have such a broad base of diversity. And I know that my kids growing up in the Highlands, they didn't know what racism was.
But we all connected in one way or another.
It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Frederick Douglass.
All the people we interviewed, no matter how different they seemed at first, had at least one thing in common. A deep sense of nostalgia for the good old days.
You know, there was so much family around, there wasn't any place you couldn't go and find somebody who'd take you in. So you knew everybody. And if you took the Highland Circuit, you got to know everybody on the bus. And if you had a girlfriend up Lakeside, you took the Lakeside bus, you got to know everybody on that bus. And if you went to the swamps, get to the beach, you know everybody on that bus. So it was very, very social. When they get on automobiles, they'd break it up.
Back in the day, there was, not every family had a car.
True.
People had to depend on each other.
So at that time, you could see like horses going around the streets from the tower.
Well, you could, whatever there was on the roads down there, you could see.
But there usually be horses around or not? Not that much.
It depended as time went by.
Yeah.
When I was very young, they used to deliver an awful lot of things by horse and wagon. And as I began to tell you, they delivered all the ice. And they had a man that used to ride around on something that looked like a bicycle. But he used to go around and sharpen knives and do all of those type of things that people had to have done with what they were using for utensils.
Yes.
And he would ring a bell as he rode along to let them know he was on his way. And they'd get out there and they would hand him the things and he'd take care of them.
You know, the inventiveness of that generation before, when there were still horse carts, one of the things that, Grammy dear, would tell us that the kids would follow along behind the horse carts and collect the manure to sell, because everybody had gardens in their yard at that time. So they would, get a couple of pennies, and that was, great entrepreneurship.
My grandfather was a junk dealer, and he would go around because where he lived off of Walnut Street on Flint Street, a good many of the other areas were all fields. And he had a horse and a cart, and he would go around the city, and he was the junk dealer.
There was a big orchard up in there.
Yeah.
A guy had an orchard up there.
Apples?
No, they were peaches.
Peaches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to sneak down there.
And take the peaches?
And swipe the peaches.
Okay, I won't tell no one.
And there was an old Italian fellow that had a van.
Yeah.
both used to go to the Jewish Community Center, which was on Market Street in Lynn, now where Brothers Deli is. And we first met there. They used to have dances and things. I belonged to activities there, and Stephen's mother actually worked for the Jewish Federation, which was on the second floor, social services. And so we met there, and then we used to see each other at the beach occasionally, and started dating just before I was 16. And we've been married for 47 years.
And of course, Risky's store was just the old High Rock Tower, Tenenbaum's store, Conley's Market, Noble Thomas, all of those, every street corner had a store.
Downtown Lynn used to be the mecca of, shopping. You could, you never went anywhere else. And on a Saturday or a Sunday, you could go down. There were many movie theaters in Lynn, and there were, many things to do for a kid, just to come downtown, and you'd go bowling, and it was sort of, you'd meet a lot of your friends.
Like there used to be a beautiful theater, the Paramount Theater. Do you remember that?
I don't, but I've read about it.
Oh, you read about it. There was a beautiful theater on Union Street. That's all gone. Then there was another one further down, the Warner Theater. That's all gone. Then there was a Capitol Theater down by the square. That's all gone.
My father didn't own a car for years and years. Nobody could afford one. And I would walk from one side of the city to the other to go visit.
Well, actually, I remember being as a kid, running around the Highlands and playing, and all of the kids, as soon as the street lights went on, then they had to come home because you only had a few minutes after the street lights came on. If you were late, then you'd be in big trouble. So that was our cue to run home. So
Irish, Italians, Jewish people, and everybody got along. Didn't have to lock the doors.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was a time way back when.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And I still feel safe to this day. There have been many changes throughout the years.
So I saw the kids with the hose in there, and I said, geez, I used to do that. We won't say how many years ago, but had a lot of fun doing it. But bringing back some of those precious moments, like we look forward, we don't have the pools and the playgrounds anymore, but I couldn't wait to go up to Pine Hill Playground and go in the pool. Fry Playground had a pool, Barry Park had a pool. Just lots of nice things. And I would leave my house in the morning, I'd stay down, run home for dinner, go back to the playground, go home and have supper, go back, and that's fond memories, really fond memories, but trying to bring those back for the kids.
The kids used to like to dig, so I'd give them a tin can and a spoon to take down. They'd walk down 3 flights of stairs. These little kids, they were only 4 and 5, something like that. They'd walk down the stairs, and I said, remember, bring those back and put it on the porch. They always did.
But I feel like the kids need to get out of the box, so to speak, and go to Boston, go to, so I take every opportunity for those kids, any opportunity they have. Like we had NASA come to us.
The big thing that from my own personal outlook, was Ring Alivio, or 50 Scatter, which is the game where you chose up sides, had 10 or 12 kids on a side, and then one group would go out and the second group had to catch them. And when group 2 caught all group 1, then group 2 went out, and then you chased them. So it was run, 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 run. And I know some of the neighbors would go crazy because you cut through the yards, jump on the bulkheads, go over the fence.
But that kept you busy.
It kept you running.
Running and running.
And it made a difference because,
now, right?
yeah, oh yeah. I watched all my grandchildren and great-grandchildren sit there twittering. I say, get up and move,
When children have an opportunity to have sort of that unstructured play and get to know, sort of who's who and what's what, it gives them some real good street smarts. And I know that my children feel that they are pretty well prepared to deal in the world for that reason, having had friends who came from different countries and different life experiences, and even the children's families from here, their experiences. So, It's been a long time since I've had children playing outside, but I do miss those sounds. And when I see that those are children who are going to be much more well-adjusted to deal with the pressures that are going to happen, whether it's in middle school, high school, and beyond.
Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Frederick Douglass.
Lynn, Massachusetts seems to have gained a less than perfect reputation in recent years. But only to those who don't live here or who have never lived here. Throughout its history, Lynn has been home to some amazing and revolutionary people, like the Hutchinson family singers.
There is a well-known family, the Hutchinson family, who went all around the country and they sang, and they have a house, there's a house down near High Rock Tower in the park, which is the Hutchinson house.
Then it became the famous place of the Hutchinson singers and wealthy homeowners in Lynn. Now it's attracting all types of people from all types of countries. It's an amazing, amazing place that it's a hidden secret, but it's a place that no one's afraid to share with anybody else. It's a very open place.
And Frederick Douglass.
Have you ever been to High Rock Tower?
Yeah, I went here 3 times. Or I attended the first festival of reading, das article, who wrote by Frederick Douglass, in 3 times. Yeah.
So,
Have you ever been to High Rock Tower?
oh yeah, many times.
What's your history with it?
Well, I know last year I brought the tops for the Frederick Douglass event because it was raining, and I brought tops over so we could, cover the people, and I do whatever I can to help out the people of the city and the Highlands especially.
When we have like
picnics up there.
for the kids and community activities. And it's beautiful. I drove by the other day and it looked nice.
Yeah, and as I said, we used to come up here and we would play marbles and jack stones. And then, of course, there was always the swings and everything that you could go on.
The High Rock Tower?
Of course, I went in the first time in 1995 because it was a meeting with Museum of Lynn and our college, and I visit. It was so interesting, the history about around the tower, around. But I think it's symbolical, like a symbolical, this tower of Lynn.
Have you ever been up to High Rock Tower?
Many times, many times. I've been here, principal at Ford School for 21 years. When I came up here, like I mentioned before, I was a playground supervisor and instructor and visited High Rock Playground for a number of years. It's a beautiful place. So when I saw it, when I became principal at Ford School, it had graffiti all over it. It was in disrepair. We worked with the city to bring it back. The boys and girls at Ford School went up, we planted flowers, and we partnered with Post 507, started celebrating Memorial Day and many of the holidays with the Post. So trying to bring back a lot of the old traditions that we used to have.
But we spent a lot of time at High Rock Tower, and the tower used to be open quite regularly. And of course, there wasn't anything you couldn't see.
When High Rock Tower was being built, and now they've done it all over, so they have a really state-of-the-art telescope, but even then you would have people up there and looking out at the ocean to make sure that you didn't have pirates and possibly Indians coming up at that time too.
What do you enjoy most about the revitalized park and the new Girls Incorporated that's down at the bottom of the hill?
The open space. It wasn't open as before. And just welcoming the community to use it. And then I introduced him to High Rock Tower because he grew up near Pickering, and he never knew of it. Never knew of the tower, never knew of the park, and he was completely amazed and he speechless when I brought him there.
You've gone to High Rock Park at all?
Yes.
Have you seen the fireworks? Go up there to see the fireworks or have picnics?
Yes, it's very nice now. It's everything fixed, brand new, and a lot of people kept going there for a visit.
Did you go up there just to view the city or the ocean or
High Rock Tower?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember they had a couple of good fires. That's where we went.
All the men and women we interviewed had fond memories of specific locations in or around the Highlands.
I love the hills. I love the views from my house. You can't pay enough for the views that I have.
But we have the ocean even better.
Yes,
so
we do have
so I think we will do that. I think that's the greatest way to promote our city.
I always loved the beach. I used to skip school and go to the beach.
There's Carver Junior High School before the big fire. Before the big fire, this is what it looked like. After the fire, I would have loved to have seen this. Look, that's what the school looked like.
Wow.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah.
And the building on the right next to it is where I live.
Well, I went to Ingalls School originally for 2 years, and they used to have carnivals out back all the time.
Most of my childhood memories definitely center around being a student here at the Ford School, different field days, teachers, things like that. I really love living in the Highlands. I think we lived outside the Highlands for like a little short amount of time, but then we immediately came back and we just love living here. And pretty much this is the only place in Lynn that we would want to live. What makes the Ford School special is that it's a community school, so really anybody who lives in this area could really use it, come for, English language classes, GED, things like that. For me, what made it special was definitely the teachers, definitely like a family atmosphere, like field day, fun day, different field trips. We went to New York when I was in the 6th grade, and I still have like a stuffed animal that I got from New York, from 13 years ago. So really, those are the fun memories. The fact that I could still come here and see Dr. Crane, and she still remembers things that happened, 15 years ago, or see teachers who remember things that I wrote from when I was in 2nd grade, is really what makes it special, and really makes me want to come back here and see people and be involved and make sure that we really keep what's special about the school intact.
21st century.
Well, for one, the Highlands in Lynn have an observatory tower that not many cities in Massachusetts have. It's a promontory that looks out over Massachusetts Bay. Nassau has one of their first classroom designations in the Ford School, and they actually used the tower to observe a comet that came by.
Culture, share the same values. Did any of your children go to the Ford School?
Yeah, two of them went to Ford School since they were little.
Did your children enjoy going to school there?
Yeah, my children like that school a lot, and we like the principal, the teacher.
Lunch hour. The kids got into it. The kids love the garden. It's a fun place to be.
Yeah, I wish
So
I got to
that's
come to the school.
There was this black gentleman named Matty Carrington, a great guy, and he ran a little group called the Meadow Midgets. The WPA had built Cook Street Pool, and they had also built Manning Bowl with lights because the GE put them in. Consequently,